This is the webinar today. You're going full-time in real estate. And if you don't know me, Bill Ham, I've been in the business about 20 years. All right. So these are the two books that I have available on Amazon now that you're caught up. We have a free rate Facebook group, Real Estate Raw for Investors. I go live in there every week, Wednesday at 2 o'clock. So certainly join us there. And my email here on the screen, if anybody wants to reach out to me personally, there's my email. Reach out. Great. So getting started today. All right, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the conveyor belt theory. I know a lot of people that know me and have been in my orbit for a while have heard this. I'm going to give you kind of a quick run through today because it is the backbone of how to go full-time in a business. Quickly talk about market cycles. That's not something I want to spend a lot of time on today. I have a tremendous amount of information on that subject out there. So I'm just going to kind of hit it quickly for reference, but I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on that. How to choose a deal. That's right. We're going to talk about that for a few minutes. Getting a market. We're going to talk about getting some deal flow coming to the door. And then lastly, how are you going to pay for it? Right? You got to have network and net worth to pay for these deals and get deals done. So we're going to talk about networking a little bit. So what are we talking about? What do you need to get started? What I mean here is cash flow a month. Or not get started, but what do you need? What is your monthly financial goal? That's one of the first things you want to start with when you really start thinking about going into a business or any business, certainly multifamily. What do you need a month? $10,000. When I ask that question, when I'm traveling around giving lectures, and I ask the room, hey, if you had a dollar amount coming in from passive revenue that would make a difference in your life, what is that number? And it's always either 10 grand or multiples of 10. It could be 20, it could be 30, whatever the case. But I'm saying like 90% of the time it's 10 grand, right? So that's what I've done here is I've kind of said, okay, let me show you the math to producing $10,000 a month in positive net positive revenue from multifamily, right? How do we get that? Where does that $10,000 come from? And that's where I have found from a lot of teaching that people are, they don't get started or they don't get started properly because they're not really sure what that first starting point is. It's like they know they want to buy apartments. They're supposed to be doing some stuff, supposed to be looking at some deals, but they're not really sure like what is that next exact action item. And so that's what we're going to kind of cover today. All right, step one. Yeah, how much money do you need a month? And we're going to kind of figure that out and then build a portfolio based on that. All right, so if you want $10,000 a month coming in the door in net positive revenue, you need about $1.5 million in equity, or you need to be controlling, and I'm going to use that word controlling, $1.5 million because we can certainly do things like creative financing. You can do lease options and seller financing, things like that, where you may not necessarily own the real estate. So I don't want to be confusing anybody, meaning you have to own $1,500,000. No, you need to create it or control it. All right. Why $1.5 million? Well, because that's what it takes to create 10,000 in cash flow. All right. Here's quick back of the napkin math. $1.5 million. If you write someone $1.5 million check and it is producing an 8% cash on cash return. These days, I know 8% might be a little high, but I assure you it won't be for long. The market will shift soon. So let's just say 8% cash flow. That's $120,000 a year, right? You divide by 12, that's 10 grand a month. Pretty straightforward. So that's where I kind of getting this number. And again, this is just meant to give you a general concept of where to get going and where to get started, not an actual financial retirement plan. But $120,000. That's your 10 grand a month. So your concept is to create $1.5 million in real estate that is going to go to work for you, right? Either you're getting off the couch and going to work, or your money's getting off the couch, going to work. Somebody's going to work. So let's go out to work, create the $1.5 million so that in 3 years, 5 years, we can stop doing so much of that front end work. All right. Now, one thing I want to tell everybody here, just everybody that knows me knows I'm pretty straightforward with a lot of this information. Passive revenue does not come from passive activity. All right. Everybody out here in the gurus and all that kind of stuff are always talking about passive income, passive revenue, passive. Yeah, that's because that's a great soundbite. It's a really good sales pitch. It gets people to run to the back of the room, swipe credit cards, that kind of stuff. But it's not always true. All right. So passive revenue is once you've got a portfolio producing a certain amount of revenue, yeah, then it's passive. Building the portfolio is not passive. All right. Passive revenue can be some of the most labor intensive in its creation. And there's the truth about real estate. And everybody thinks that, they're going to sort of sign up for some program and it's magically done for you. And you're just going to sit on the couch and, checks are going to spill out of the mailbox. And it's not true, right? It can be that way once you have your portfolio built. It is not like that in the very beginning. In the very beginning, it is going to be transaction based. You are going to be doing deals. You are going to be doing transactions. I see people come to the program all the time. They're like, well, I don't want a job. I don't want my business to be transaction based. Okay, show me how to build a portfolio in real estate without closing some transactions. If you can do that, you write that book. I'm the first one to buy it, right? It's a silly concept. And what people are thinking is, oh, I don't want to go out and do a lot of work. That's a mistake. You're going to have to do work. You may not have to do a very, very intense work or very complicated work, but you will have to work, right? So I'm lying to you if I tell you anything other than that. Okay, now that we got that straight, here's the conveyor belt theory. This is something I created, first introduced Real Estate Raw, which is why the logo in that book is this conveyor belt. This is the way I kind of show people this is the concept of building a real estate business. All right. So we're going to imagine a conveyor belt, just like you see on the screen, just like it would be at a factory or something, right? Except our conveyor belt is going to be 5 years long. Why 5 years? Because that is the average hold time that you will have assets in a portfolio. It's not been the average hold time over the last 2 or 3 years because we've seen people flipping and the market went up so quick in value. People were able to exit very quickly. So, but I'm telling you, over the last 20 years, I've seen most people holding assets, myself included, for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years, something like that. So good round number. 5 years long. Okay. So what we're doing here is this is going to represent us building the portfolio. Year number 1, we are going to close our very first deal, probably a smaller deal. Maybe houses, stuff like that. My very first deal was a duplex. I did not go out and close big giant deals early on or anything of that nature. So that's probably where you're getting started, something reasonable. Don't go drinking that go big or go home Kool-Aid. That's a mistake. Don't let some guru tell you if you're not out closing big deals and doing high flying stuff, you're doing it wrong. That is not true. That's terrible business advice. You need to get started where you can and just get started. If it's a duplex or 5 units or 10 units, whatever. They turn and they get bigger later on, right? But don't sit around here running around trying to close 100 units or bust, because you're likely to just bust, right? So first deal, smaller one, first year, we get that thing on the conveyor belt. All right, it's going to move along from the left to the right. All right, and that's going to represent cash flow, operations. Time is flowing to our right. Okay, year number 2, we've put our second property on the conveyor belt. We're building our portfolio. Year number 3, okay, now we're in our third deal. We're getting those a little bit bigger. Probably getting into some better size multifamily commercial stuff. We've been a few years in, getting this thing going, right? This is around here is probably where, again, I'm saying 3-4 years, you probably be quitting the job. You've got enough of a portfolio going on now. Okay, year number 4, yep, see a time moving along to the right. So this is cash flow. So you're probably making money at the acquisition, right? So maybe in the very beginning, year 1, year 2, small properties, you're not getting a whole lot of acquisition money at close, but you start getting into these larger apartment complexes. As you purchase those, there can be fees and money made at the purchase, right? That's called acquisition fee. You're moving along the properties on its conveyor belt. It's operating, you're cash flowing, perhaps asset management fees, things of that nature. Okay, we're really building this portfolio up. Here comes year number 5. Okay, we're putting some big property on here now, probably getting those big AC fees, getting cash flow as it's operating. And that very first deal is now coming off of the conveyor belt. The very first deal is being liquidated. And that's what we're going to call this, a liquidation event, right? Could be a sale, could be a refinance. So I'm not saying you have to get rid of it. I'm just saying this is a liquidity event right here, or probably a sale or, or refi. So what you're going to want to do now is take that money and roll it back to the beginning of the conveyor belt and reinvest in those deals. That would be something like a 1031 exchange or something. The idea here is that over time, as you're adding assets to the conveyor belt, hopefully location, they're going up in value, right? You're cash flowing as they move along. You're realizing the paper money to cash here at the exit. 1031, take that money, start over. It lessens the amount of partners and investors you're going to need over time. That's where you will start to truly build wealth. Now, people run around talking about legacy wealth a lot. That's a big comment. I hear a lot of people talk about legacy wealth. Okay, fine. But I'll tell you right now, if you think legacy wealth lives within sticks, bricks, and mud, you're going to hand your grandkids an apartment building, you're wrong. You're going to make your kids slumlords, right? You're going to hand them a half-rotten building. You can't do that. That property would be old as all hell by the time you want to give it to somebody. What you need to create in legacy wealth is a legacy business. with legacy systems and legacy information, that can be left to a family member, right? But again, you just hand them real estate, it's just going to get old and they're going to wind up fire sailing it. So this is kind of the concept of how you actually create your own portfolio. And if legacy wealth is a concept you're interested in, this is what you want to be leaving to family members and people like that going forward, not just real estate, right? So that's your system there. Here's what it looks like. So again, you're cash flowing over time as you hold the assets. They come off the back. That's a liquidity event. You're rolling that equity back around to the front. Your net worth is growing. Your wealth is growing. Your revenue is growing. You need less partners, less investors, rinse and repeat. And over time, 3, 4, 5 years, you will actually build up a portfolio that will allow you to exit the job. And that's sort of the point of today's lecture. Okay, quickly speaking, because I've covered this many, many times in many other lectures, and I'm not going to go through it a whole lot today, but it needs to be mentioned. We have to understand that there are market cycles. That means things change. That's all market cycles mean, right? Stuff changes. All right. Has stuff changed recently? Yeah. Has stuff changed a lot very recently? Yeah. And that's part of the market cycle, right? So we have to understand that market cycles are really inflation cycles. That's what I'm talking about. So these are the different market cycles. I did not make these up. This is just the business cycles. You have the expansion. My definition, this would have been probably around 2007, 8, coming out of the 2008 mess. We're going all the way up here till maybe last year, 2 years ago, last year ish, kind of flat, and then now we're probably going to go down into a recession cycle. Now, recession doesn't mean we're in a recession. I don't mean that. I just mean it's a receding value cycle, right? And this can be usually because interest rates have gone up, like we see. And then this is the trough. This will be the base. This is where I would say back 2005, 2008, 9, 10, around that range, right? So probably going to look at a couple of years down, maybe a year or two low, and then up. I think interest rates, if you're looking over the next 2, 3 years to a refinance or a sell, I would pencil in around 6. I don't personally think interest rates are going to go 8, 9, 10 or anything like that, but I don't think they're going to go 2, 3, 4 either, right? I don't think we're going up to double digits, but I think we will definitely hang in the 6 range for quite a while, allowing the economy to sort of cool down as the Feds want. That is my personal prediction. But I remember back over the last 20 years of business, 6 was a pretty normal interest rate. This 2, 3, 4 stuff was very more recent. That's been over just the last couple of years. So I would pencil out about a 6 for an exit. Okay. Exit strategies. I've put these in here largely just for the slide deck. Exit strategies. Got to pay real close attention to exit strategies and time those with the market cycles. So you can see the different things that you want to be doing here as you move through the market cycles. In the low cycle and everything's going up, you buy everything, fix, flip, do that kind of stuff. Burr model, buy, renovate, refinance works great until you go down into that down cycle. Then values don't work so well in that regard. So just keeping an eye on that. All right. That's as you can see down here, we have sellers market 1, sellers market 2, buyers market 1, buyers market 2. Those are just another way of saying those recession cycles. Okay. Market indicators, again, something else I just wanted to put on here for the slides. I'm not going to read you every one of these. This goes in tandem with the last slide, sellers market 1 and 2. These are the things that you want to kind of look for to see when the market is changing. And again, you cannot time the market. It's not possible. The only way that you can know when a market is passed or shifted is by looking back in time and going, oh, look, there it goes. When was the peak? Oh, back there, right? That's all you can tell. So don't try and time the market. But these things will give you a pretty good idea of when the market should or is shifting, right? Watch your interest rates. As I said over here, debt always kills the market. So it's going on right now, isn't it? Debt is not making anything much easier. If anybody's been out looking at rates trying to get loans, it's tough out there. All right, let's talk about choosing a market. If you've worked closely with me, then you probably have heard this. If not, this may be good for you, right? A lot of people come into market selection from the point of view of job growth, population growth, wage growth, cash flow, tenant landlord friendly or landlord friendly laws and things of that issue. Those are all great concepts. They're just not the best concept. All right. So yes, when you want to do market research, that's fine. You want to go in and look at job growth, population growth, all that. Sidebar, you really need to have population growth. Job growth is not as important as it once was. Now that we've seen more of the work from home, more of the remote working, In the decades past, job growth and population growth were always one and the same. People moved where there were jobs. We're seeing that to be a new paradigm now. So I would now lean much, much more heavily on the actual population growth than job growth. And and in a lot of the states over the last census up in the Northwest, Northwest, we saw a lot of states and a lot of cities with flat population or negative population growth. But be very careful about that. If you're looking to get into a city or an area that has negative population growth, I would be extremely cautious about planning on raising the rent. That's a double whammy. You're trying to raise rent in a market where people are moving away. That won't last. So be very careful in your underwriting if you're looking at population growth. So what I recommend that the best method for choosing a market is deal flow. You got to have deal flow. You need about 3 deals a week. A lot of you have heard me say that. You need to be analyzing about 3 deals a week. And that's what we're going to use to choose our market. So step number 1, I recommend you start with where you live. Wherever you are, whether it's a good city, bad city, great for multifamilies, terrible, doesn't matter for right now. Let's just start where you live, and then I'll show you how to move out from there. So I've got Atlanta here on the map. As you can see, this is where I'm from. So I don't live here now, but Atlanta. So we'll just kind of talk about that. All right. So what I recommend is what I call the circle deal theory, right? So what I would say is pick your address, wherever you live, apartment, house, think about it on the map, right? And so let's say I lived in downtown Atlanta. I would draw a circle on the map around my address. Inside of that circle, I need to be looking at 3 deals a week, right? There is your market. Your market is the territory that produces 3 deals a week. 3 what? Depends on what you're looking for. We'll talk about that in a minute. But is it duplexes? Is it 100 units? Is it, whatever, right? You need to be kind of looking at 3 a week. And that's how you're going to build a business. And that's how you're going to wind up ultimately getting out of work and going full time, is having consistent deal flow. So the number one thing I've seen in the last 20 years that makes people successful in the business, if you're looking at deals on a regular basis, lots of different things happen. You get confident. You're not in a hurry. You don't jump on the first deal that comes along. You know what you're doing. You know what you're looking for. When you stop looking at deals, you're not really doing what you're supposed to do. You're not doing the work. You're screwing around, whatever the case. You get lazy. You wake up, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't been doing anything lately. And you rush out and start looking at deals. Anything. Just look. That's where you make a mistake. And I have done that personally. So the key is consistency. Consistency sort of helps to mitigate nervousness, anxiety, things of that nature. It's probably true in a lot of things in life. But so that's what I'm saying. Very consistently look at deals. Where? Inside that circle, 3 deals a week. So week number 1, yeah, you probably can look in pretty close area around your house, where you live. Week number 2, week number 3, that circle might start to get bigger and bigger. All right. So what it's going to do is it's going to look like that. So now, week number whatever, I've started to include more territory. I've looked at all the deals in that little area, right? And now here we are, where month number 2, month number 3. Okay, now I've really started to expand my market. And here is where I'm finding several deals a week, and now I've added these other areas that are similar. Okay, so I don't like this one. I didn't add that. I don't like this. I do like that. I don't like that. I do like this. Your circle kind of will turn into an amoeba shape thing eventually, right? And so again, this is just a theory that I want you to understand conceptually. I'm not really talking about drawing circles on a map. I'm just trying to show you how you want to start looking at deal flow and using deal flow to choose the market. The mistake I see a lot of people make that are new to the business is they'll say, well, I'm in Atlanta and I heard about North Carolina. No, I heard about Dallas, Texas, or Ohio, and all of a sudden they're all over the map. And you're just bouncing around from place to place to place. That is not good. You will not build proper deal flow systems like that. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, working with realtors, right? You've got to build relationships. So this is a way that'll just keep you linear, keep you from jumping all over the country, keep you from spending money on travel and things you shouldn't do, right? Ultimately, you're going to have to spend time in your market. You're going to have to get to know realtors and sellers. You cannot just sit at home dialing for dollars. If you think you're going to call realtors and sellers 1,000 miles away and say, hey, save all the really great deals for the person that called you from some other state, it's just not going to happen, right? People do business with people they know, like, and trust. We all know that. Realtors are no exception. Realtors will sell deals to people they know, like, and trust. You got to get in that group. All right. So now, maybe time goes on, and now I've actually added whole other states or cities. Fine. This is okay over time, right? I've done my research. I know my realtors in Atlanta. I've got deals coming in. That city's on lockdown. I'm good. If something moves in that market, I'll see it. I'll know. Okay, now it's time to start looking at some other cities. Okay, so again, go in order. Don't go Atlanta, Dallas, New York. No, what's the next major metro over? Well, here's Chattanooga, good market. Here's Birmingham, Alabama, fine. You get the point. Nashville, Charleston. Notice I didn't circle Macon. I'm not a fan of Macon. That's just always me picking on Macon, Georgia. But for those of you who know me. But anyway, so you see my point. This is how you want to kind of start spreading out and conquering different territories. So you met all these realtors. Okay, now time to meet these. Now time to meet these. What you will find is that typically your commercial realtors hub out of the largest metro in a several state area. So if you are real time, if you're looking at the Southeast right now, and you're looking in Chattanooga and Charlotte and Augusta and these kind of places, I'm going to bet the realtors that you're working with probably have offices in Atlanta. And you may want to start your search more here, find these realtors. And again, I'll talk about that in a minute, but find the people here and then spread out. You'd be surprised. Realtors in Atlanta will cover most of the Southeast, hundreds of miles around. There's not enough deals for there to be a pile of commercial realtors with different companies in all these different cities. There's just not enough real estate out there, right? And so that's where I say kind of spread out in that regard. So here we are, places to get market data real quick. Citydata.com, city-data.com is a pretty good place to get data. A slightly less familiar website. It's a good one to go to. It's a little bit difficult to navigate that. It's not a very user-friendly website, but so go there, check that out. You can get a lot of stats on cities and things of that nature. MarcusandMillichap.com, research, their research department. Really good place to get market research right there. Marcus and Millichap is also, I'm sure you all know Marcus and Millichap's a realtor as well, but they do a lot of good research. Berkadia also, I didn't put that one on here. Berkadia does good research as well. NMHC, the National Multifamily Housing Council. If you're not familiar with NMHC, you need to be familiar with this group. They put on two large conferences, I think twice a year, once a year, twice a year. They go East Coast, West Coast each year. And it's always in the spring. So NMHC puts on the largest multifamily conference in America every year. So you definitely want to check that out. I've been once. I mean, thousands of people go to this thing, but they do a lot of research. If you're not familiar with NMHC, then you should be. CoStar, LoopNet. LoopNet is owned by CoStar. LoopNet.com is owned by CoStar, if you didn't know that. And CoStar, most people are pretty familiar with. Big software, really compiles lots and lots of data from all around the country on lots of different multifamily and different owners, operators, that sort of stuff. Can be expensive. I haven't bought CoStar in some years. If anybody knows what it's going for right now, you can post in the chat and let us know. I want to say it's like $400 or $500 a month, something like that. If anybody has a subscription, let us know what you're paying. But it's several $100s a month. What I found from this is that it does everything. I mean, CoStar has all kind of things that it does, and you use about 2% of all of it. I mean, it's just mad science, and you don't need it, and you just don't use it. And it's got all these charts and graphs and the whizzes and the bangs, and you don't need it, right? So if you're just trying to get owner data because you want to mail them or contact them or something like that, you probably find cheaper ways to do it than CoStar. Although CoStar is excellent data. Census Bureau, that can be outdated quickly, as we all know, but that's just worth mentioning. This is where you really want to watch your trends in population, watch your stats and in population for cities and things of that nature. So certainly go through there. All right, next we want to start talking about getting deal flow. You gotta have deals coming in the door, right? And that's the next step. So you've heard me mention already 3 deals a week. All right, that's your average. Sidebar, look, I know that's hard to do right now. I know the market is tough. I know there's not a lot of assets on the market, and realtors are not bringing a lot of deals to market right now. I get that. Just do the best you can with 3 deals a week. Don't kill yourself, but certainly the concept is that you need to be analyzing deals on a very regular basis. And that's why I just use the parameters of 3 deals a week. But if you're not getting 3 a week, don't worry about it. Expand the territory if you can. Start looking at more areas until you get 3 deals a week, right? But that's the concept, is you just need to be very consistent in analyzing your deals regularly. All right, there are only 2 ways to find deals. Either going directly to an owner or you're working with a realtor. That's it. right? So direct to owner. I'm not going to cover that on today's call, but that's just quickly, that's like sending letters, direct mail. It could be these days. Again, if anybody is running a direct to owner program that's being successful, certainly post in the chat and tell us what you're doing. I used to do this a long time ago, but I haven't done it in some years. And I used to send letters, business letters. Now I had a company that would, print and stamp and all that kind of stuff, but I sent business letters out to companies, with a letter saying, hey, I'm interested in buying your property. Direct to owner, text, cold call, ringless voicemail, those things all seem to be working pretty well. I've had several students pick up some good deals doing this. What I have found, direct to owner works real well from one unit, and it starts to drop off in response rate as you climb the ladder. So 1 unit, you're going to get great response rate. 10 units, a little less. 50 units, it starts to thin out. Above 50 units, 100 units, your response rate for direct contact is going to be very low, right? So that's why I say just probably do that under 50 units. If you're getting 50 units and above and you want to reach out to owners directly, I would cold call. That's what I used to do, and it works pretty well. Once you get 50, 100 units, nobody's calling you back on a little yellow postcard that said, we buy apartments. I mean, they're just not, right? So that's where I say you really want to kind of have a better contact campaign than that. Cold call and then be ready to make an offer pretty quickly on the phone. I can show you how to do that. All right, so let's talk about realtors. So we're talking about working with realtors now. All right, that's the easy part. So it's not the direct mail is the easy part. Working with realtors, not so much. All right, 3 steps to working with realtors. You got to know your market, right? You need to know your city. You need to know your areas. You don't need to know every street in detail like that, but you need to generally understand your market and what's going on. When I say know the market, I mean know your pricing, know the cap rates, know what things are selling for. You don't want to call up a realtor and say, hey, I'm looking to buy an A-class property at an 8 cap in your neighborhood. That would be stupid. Nothing's selling for that, So generally know what stuff's up for selling for in that market, so you don't say dumb stuff. All right, have a good buy right criteria. Know what you want to buy. Know when a realtor says, hey, what are you looking to buy? You should have a pretty solid answer. You want to be able to tell them price range, size, condition, age, things like that. Don't call up a realtor and say, oh, I'm looking for a great deal with a lot of cash flow. Be sure and save one of those for me. That's nonsense. Don't give them that kind of answer. Have some stats, be able to read it off to them. You typically are going to get one bite at that apple, right? What are you looking for is one of the biggest sort of acid tests that a realtor will use to decide who are they talking to, and how you answer that question can seriously dictate how that realtor responds to you. So try and have a very professional answer for that. All right. Know the deal. So now what you want to do is know a deal before reaching out to that realtor. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But what I'm saying here is you really want to reach out to realtors based on something they already have. Don't call up a realtor and say, hey, this is what I'd like to buy. I'm hoping you have a good deal. I want a lot of cash flow. Don't do that. When you first reach out to a realtor, reach out to them on a listing they currently have, right? And say, hey, Joe the realtor, I see you have 123 Main Street listed. That looks interesting. Can you give me some more information? If you'll send an email or something like that with the subject line, the listing or the listing address, you'll increase your response rate from a realtor tenfold, right? It's a great way to first reach out to realtors. If you get nothing from today, that one's worth your time right there, I promise. All right, and then know the deal. So you're reaching out to them about a specific deal. You should have underwritten it. You should know about that deal. Don't ask questions that were already in the marketing package, right? So read the marketing package. Don't ask information that they wrote and put in there, like, what's the price? How many units is it? Read the package, right? And then lastly, you're going to want to go out and do property tours. So you've got the deal coming in. You know your market, you're looking at all of them, you've analyzed the deal. Lastly, we move for property tours, and we're going to talk about that in a second. All right, this is my system that I teach all of my students when they first start working with me. I see a few of you on the call here. You will probably completely recognize this. What I tell a brand new student is that you have got to get deal flow coming in the door day one. Here is a system to do it. Here's a system to do it for free, without travel, and without actually having to talk to any realtors. You don't really want to start talking to commercial realtors until you have underwriting down. You kind of know your numbers, but we need a deal to learn how to underwrite a deal, right? So here's how you get them. Step one, look up all the multifamily realty companies in your area that specialize in multifamily. And I'm saying area as in at least your state, maybe even your quadrant, southeast, northeast, northwest, whatever. For me, I'm looking up southeast, right? And I'm going to look up all of the multifamily realty companies that specialize in that. I'm not talking about single family. So I'm not talking about Keller Williams and Remax. Nothing wrong with those companies. I'm just saying that's not who I'm talking about, right? So what we're saying here is everybody that's multifamily, you're probably not going to find more than 15 companies, right? It's not going to be that many. Okay. Step 2, make a list of all of their websites. Go to each and every one of those home websites, create an account, try and log in, get on their email address, fill out the profile. Like say, for example, if you go to Marcus and Millage app and you go to the upper end right corner, it says, create an account. Click on that, answer the questions, get in their database. There's several reasons you want to do this. One, once you call that realtor, they're likely to look you up in their system. If they don't see that you've been in the system, pulling down confidentiality agreements and downloading deals, they may not take you as seriously because they don't see you. You're obviously not in the system. So one, log in for that reason right there. Number 2, once you've created the account in that website, what you want to do now is go back and just find current listings, right? So we go back to that website, we jump in. Doug, I see the hand. 1 second. So go to the website, log in, just click on current listings. All right, you're going to see like a map and it'll show all the properties in America. Click on those. If you have an account, chances are it will allow you to go ahead and sign the confidentiality agreement right there on the website. If you can sign the CA on the website, it'll allow you to download whatever you need. It's the rent roll, the trailing 12, and the OM, the offering memorandum. And those are the 3 things you're after. And most of the time on these commercial websites, we can get those deals. And that's where all the real deals are. They're not over there on LoopNet. They're not out there on the internet. They're on the realtor's home website. Go there, fill out the account, download OM T12 rent roll. You're now analyzing deals and you never had to leave your office. Doug, you had a question. Go ahead, unmute yourself. You want to ask something? Jump in there.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't want to derail you. I think the
Oh yeah,
content.
no, go ahead. No problem.
Yeah. I was curious if you had any content or thoughts around doing new construction for multifamily versus existing.
Yeah, some. First comment, I am not a builder. I have never built anything. So I can't really say, yes, like from all my years as a builder, I can't really say that. But I have been around some other programs. I've worked some groups and been in the business for a long time. I do have opinions on it. If you can build, I think it would be a good idea to build. Right. There's an affordability shortage. Another concept that we're not talking about here, and a lot of people don't seem to be talking about, is the crumbling affordable housing, right? Like the C space, the older buildings. A lot of people that know me know I talk about this a lot. Those older buildings that were built in the 60s and 70s, they're literally falling down. I mean, and I think a lot of American real estate is going to get to where it becomes physically obsolescent all of a sudden. And therefore, new construction, I believe, over the next 5 years is really going to go up in value, the newer build product. And I say that whether you can build or whether you're buying. If you can buy newer assets today, I would strongly recommend that. Building, the lending sucks right now, Doug. That's one of the big problems, is getting funds and getting lending on building. So again, I think as a model, it's a great idea. If you can get the debt or you can get the equity together to do it. Land prices are a bit expensive, and construction costs can be expensive. What I'm seeing and what I read a lot is a lot of the new construction development projects have all stalled, or a lot of them have failed. If you were watching the paper, there was one of the like the US's largest transactions was just about to occur in Miami, Florida. It was like $1 point something billion for a tract of land down there in Miami. It fell through. Right, just a couple days ago. Reason being, they couldn't get the equity, they couldn't get the loan together, right? And so what everybody is starting to say is, hey, with the rates, I can't pay that price for the land anymore, because if I pay that price for the land and then I put this on top of it, it doesn't make money. So that's kind of what we're starting to see in new construction. Again, I think it's always a good idea. It's just kind of tough today. Yeah, do you have any opinions?
I mean, I'm not as big as you guys. I was just looking at a couple of duplexes or building out a quad.
Yeah.
Just looking like, if everyone's looking at 3 deals a week, I try to at least. And I feel like everyone's just kicking the tire on the same deals, and all these deals are priced to perfection where there's like no meat on the bone. And we're all just kind of like grumbling about it. And that's kind of like why I asked about new construction. So, yeah. So I appreciate the insight.
Yeah, I like new construction. Again, if you can make sense out of the land acquisition price and the construction costs are not too prohibitive. Yeah, I would absolutely look at new construction. Something that I think is really interesting, and I've never done it, is the build for rent. A single family, multifamily complex kind of thing, a tract of land with a bunch of houses that you all rent out. I think it's a really neat idea, and I've seen those do real well. So yeah, I think new construction is going to be where it's at, especially once the economy calms down a little. Once the rates settle out, I think you're going to see a construction boom, and I think that's going to ultimately wind up being a good thing. So we'll see. We'll see. Who knows? But all right. So yeah. So looking at current listings, kind of run through this. Right. So go to everybody's websites. That's where the deals are actually at. They're not over here on LoopNet and Craigslist. Forget that stuff. Realtors' websites, current listings, fill out the account. You can download most of the information you need. And then that's what you're doing. So the track would be, okay, go online, find said deal, download, analyze said deal. Next step, reach out to realtor. Hey, realtor, this looks interesting. When can we do a property tour? And there's the real rubber on the road right there. It's meeting realtors. It's going out, doing these tours, property tours, which is just a meet and greet, by the way. It's not due diligence. So I'm not saying out due diligence. You just go out, you meet the realtor, you do a walk around, look at the property. That's where you really will build the relationships out with realtors long term, is doing these property tours. And the trick there is that you are trying to get all the deals off the market that are currently on the market, right? If these things are still sitting around in the market for sale, it's probably because they suck, right? Good deals don't come to the market for very long, or don't stay on the market very long, and great deals don't come to the market at all. I've sold 3 of my last deals, 2 of which were not listed. I picked up the phone, I called some realtors, those realtors picked up the phone, called some buyers, boom, we sold. They were never on the market, you never had a chance, you never saw them. But if you didn't have a relationship with one of those realtors, you didn't get the phone call. And in there is my lesson. You really want to be doing these property tours to get to know the realtor, so that one day that new deal walks in the door and the realtor picks up the phone, they call that close list of buyers, you're on the list. Hey, Bill, this is it, man. This is what you've been looking for. Swing by on Tuesday. We'll grab lunch. We'll take a look. You can shoot an offer in right now. That's where you're going to pick up good deals. But you have to be on that know, like, and trust list with that realtor, or you're just never even going to get that phone call. And that's why I kind of use the circle approach, right? Because if you're just bouncing around the country, dialing up realtors going, hey, save me all those great deals, you're running into the same thing Doug's running into. Everybody's just tired of kicking the same stupid deals. And Doug, that's what you're running into, is everybody's following that same model of just looking at LoopNet and high level stuff. So yeah, everybody's looking at the same deals. You get to know the realtors, you'll start seeing deals that other people don't see, but takes time, right? Okay, so let's jump in real quick. All right, so we're talking about deal valuation now. There are 3 ways of valuing a deal. I'm going to kind of run through them pretty quickly because, again, this could get boring. We could spend a lot of time here. But the 3 methods of valuing a real estate deal are replacement cost, income approach, comparable sale. That creates a value. If you call an appraiser, this is what the appraiser is going to do. They're going to take all 3 of these formulas, get 3 different numbers, average them together. Boom, there's the appraisal that's going to your bank. So if you ever wonder why your appraisal came in low, it's going to be in one of these 3 suspects here. Could be comparable sales have fallen. It could be that maybe revenue isn't holding up. And it could be really that, replacement cost is coming up, or that you're seeing repairs. That's another subset of that. You've got a lot of deferred maintenance that may come up in that one. Cost replacement. Let's jump in here. Replacement cost are pretty boring here. This is just value equals the replacement cost minus depreciation plus land. All right. So what I'm saying is what the appraiser is going to do is they're going to say, what's the value of the dirt? That's set. Then they're going to look at the building that's on top of the dirt, and they're going to say, okay, when was this thing built? And they're going to say, all right, if we replace it right now with a brand new building, what would that cost in today's material? Kind of like Doug's asking, well, what's that construction cost new? And then they devalue it or depreciate it backwards to its original date of construction. I don't know what percent a year they use to devalue it, but that's depreciation. And that's how they come up with the replacement cost approach. This is the least valuable to us as buyers. We don't really use this. I'm just putting it in here for academics so that you know what it's for. All right, amenities. I'll run through this pretty quickly. These are the 4 things. These are the 4 things you want to pay attention to when using the comparable sale approach. Comparable sale meaning we're just looking at what everybody else in the area is paying, right? It's like a house. All right, age. Make sure the comparable property is within about 10 years over under. Don't show me something built from 1963 and then show me a comparable sale from 2002. I don't think so, right? You need those things to be within about a 10-year window over under. Size, 20% over under, right? So if you're looking at 100 units, you're looking at maybe 120 to 80 units. Again, don't show me a 20-unit property and then show me a 100-unit comparable sale. That's not comparable. Those size properties will have completely different fields, demographics, and living styles. So they're not the same. Amenities, they better be very similar. If you have a pool, they should have a pool. If they've got a fitness center and a pool and all these nice amenities, and you have this little 20 unit with no amenities, you need to keep that in mind. That's comparable sale and rent, by the way. You can apply both of these concepts to sale price or rent, either one. And then location, maximum 3 to 5 miles. Really, you want to pay close attention to how population dense this city is, right? So if you're looking at a city like LA, Atlanta, New York, Miami, these are incredibly densely populated cities. And if you think about one straight mile, like that picture I showed you in Atlanta, if you just start in downtown Atlanta and go one straight mile out, you are covering millions of people, and you're going to cover many, 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 many different demographic changes, neighborhood types. So to sit here and say, look, there's $1 million home and 1 mile away is my apartment complex, therefore I'm in $1 million home neighborhood. Oh boy, you better be careful about that. That is not true, especially in a city like Atlanta. So the more people, the closer you really want to get that comp data. If you're out in the middle of West Texas, yeah, 3, 4, 5, 7 miles, fine, whatever. Nobody lives there, right? But if you're in the middle of a heavily populated city, you better be very careful with pulling or having a realtor show you comps from a long way away. It's a way that a realtor can, I don't want to use the word manipulate data really, but they can paint a picture by omitting certain information. So it's not that they're lying, they're just sort of painting a picture. Buyer beware. All right, income approach. Here's the one that we use on the most regular basis. Most of you probably already know this. This is valuing the property, sort of looking at it from the perspective of cash flow. And this is what we all want to do. We're all trying to find properties that will either appreciate enough or cash flow enough that we create that revenue so that we can get out of the job, right? And this is only, but income and cash flow is only half the equation. Appreciation, as I mentioned in the beginning on the conveyor belt, that is the other half. Cash flow is good. You must have appreciation. If anybody ever gets into this argument, whether, cash flow versus appreciation, that's a silly concept. You have to have both. You got to have cash flow to keep the lights turned on, to feed the investors, to fix things, feed yourself. But if you do not have appreciation, go try and sell. Go try and refinance and come back and tell me what happens, right? So anytime somebody's in this, I buy for cash flow and appreciation is a nice to have, has never been through a down cycle, nor ever exited a distressed asset. They're inexperienced. Because I'll tell you right now, from having done all the above, if that value is upside down, you're going to have a bad day. Location, location, location. All right. So income minus expenses, NOI, net operating income, right? Net operating income minus debt service. Actually, that should be just debt service, not coverage ratio. Debt service equals cash flow, right? Cash flow divided by the down payment is your cash and cash. And so we're just trying to figure out deals that have enough cash and cash. If you analyze the deal, you put in the income, the expenses, that sort of stuff, and you thumb along and you realize that the cash on cash and all that is too low. There are only two things you could do: pay less or borrow less, right? You can put down more down payment. That'll bring the numbers up. I don't recommend that. Or you lower the purchase price. And that's the key, is just lowering that purchase price until you get the deal to work, right? And that's where we're seeing the market right now. A lot of deal flow is very truncated. We're seeing very limited deals come to the market. That's because a lot of people are not going to bring assets to the market because they know the buyers are not paying what they want because of the interest rates. Yeah, that's all well and good until that seller's loan comes due. When their loan comes due, these are balloon notes. Either the bank is going to work something out or they're going to be forced into that market kicking and screaming. So this is where I kind of say, watch this October, November cycle this year. We've got like $4 billion some odd dollars in multifamily coming due. Should be an interesting cycle. So watch that. That's all about that loan maturity. Loan maturity will make motivated sellers out of people. But at the moment, I don't think a lot of these people are going to bring these deals to the market because the interest rates have sucked away all the cash flow. And now we as buyers are just trying to lower the price. So sit tight, be patient. The market will shift, and we're definitely going to see a lot of product coming. I'm predicting spring of next year is going to be like the time. Q1 of 2024 is going to be, it's going to be fun time then. My prediction. You heard it here. All right. And then lastly, how are we going to pay for the deals, right? You've got to be networking all the time. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes I made earlier on in my own career, was not networking enough or making networking a thing. Like, I'm going to go networking, I'm going to go raise money, and what happens is you wind up turning on this like salesperson thing, and you go to an event, you go to a live event, something like that, and you're in there just trying to raise money. You're just shaking hands and getting business cards, and you reek of it. You smell like that, And so what I've learned is that raising money is not a thing. It's not real. When you think you're going out to raise money, all you're doing is just meeting new people. You're just making contacts with new people, right? People do business with people they know, like, and trust. We know that. So you can, let me say on that comment, know, like, and trust. It's a crap concept, right? 2 out of the 3 are worthless. Like and trust are garbage because you can't control them, right? You can't make people like you, and you can't make people trust you. If you make people like you and you make people trust you, you're a con artist by definition, right? So like and trust is not something you can really do anything about. The know, that one you can do something about, right? Getting known, being known, that's in your control. That's networking, right? So what you need to do is just show up, network, meet people, go to these real estate seminars, go to meetup groups, go to everything you can, and just meet people, be yourself, talk about multifamily, and build relationships and follow up and get to know people. That is raising money. There's nothing else to it but that. I think so many people think it's this specific thing. I've got to come away from this event with X amount of commitment for X amount of dollars. No, stop. That's crazy. You'll never know if you've raised money until you're literally standing there with a deal in hand, and you tell those investors, okay, write me a check right now. Until you're standing there doing that, you won't know what you've raised. So don't worry about it. Just go out, meet people, build relationships. I lost $150,000 like that once. I got into a deal. I thought that I had been networking. I thought that I had raised this big, database of people and all that. And what I had really done was just gone around and collected up a big stack of business cards. And so I go out, I go start raising money for the deal. And what am I doing? I'm calling up people that are in this stack of business cards thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to raise money. And half the responses were, who are you again? Like, how'd you get my number? Where do we meet? Okay, that was not good. Like, I'm calling these people up going, hey, this is Bill. Yeah, man, you ready to invest? And they're going, who are you? That was not a good money raise experience for me. And I fell short, and I had $150,000 in earnest money, and I lost it, right? I was fine. I recovered a few months, do another deal. I got it back. It's no big deal, but that really sucked. So my lesson that I took from that I'm imparting to you is always be networking. You can never know enough people, and you don't need cash commitment. You don't need people to like sign up the document. Just meet people. Right now, if you want to get into a little more technical arena, you do want to ultimately set up a website, and I would recommend creating some sort of website where people can log in or opt in and give you their contact information. If you want an example of this, you can go to my non-education website, my real estate website, which is broadwellpropertygroup.com. And if you'll look on that page, look in the upper right corner, it says contact us, invest with us, something like that. That's a funnel. And when you go in there, you put in your name, it'll auto respond with an accredited investor form. If you fill that out and send it back to us, then I pick up the phone. We do a phone call. That solves most of the issue with the Security and Exchange Commission as far as a relationship is concerned. I'm not giving you legal advice, but that's what we do. We have that set up on our system. So eventually you want to get something like that on our website, where then you're just meeting people and you're saying, hey, yeah, go put your information into my site. You're building a database. You've got your CRM in the background. It's capturing all these names and contacts. Then one day when you have a good deal, you're calling those people. That's how you raise money, right? It's not running around doing what I call millionaire panhandling, shaking the change cup, every time you got a deal, spare 50 grand, spare 100 grand, spare 50 grand, right? You don't really want to do that. That'll wear you out. That's tough. It's hard work, and it'll wear you out. And I know that. So what I recommend is that you really spend your time raising money always, all the time, and build your database, build your network, build your friends and family list. And when the time is right, when you have the deal, then you'll have the people there for you. All right. So that's networking. And these are the two books that I have. We have the Facebook group, Real Estate Raw for Investors. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, please go sign up. There are 3 questions. You do have to ask questions. It's to keep the bots out. So if you don't answer the questions, we're not going to let you in there. If you want to call me up, Bill at Go Broadwell, you can reach out to me there. I do offer coaching services. You can reach out to me on the website. You can check out information like that. What I am offering is a subscription agreement. So if you want to go there and get a little more information about that, you can sign up with me. I don't have boot camps or anything like that, so it's just working with me personally, but go get some information on that. That is the main presentation that I have for you today. I'm going to wrap it up for today. Again, please join us in the weekly Facebook group. Let us know, come in there and join us. I do have coaching program. If you're not already working with me, go check that out and get the books. So other than that, very cool. Hope to see everybody soon. I know there was a Jake and Gino event went on last week. I heard that went real well. So I hope everybody had a good time up there.